The global attention since the beginning of the latest Israel-Hamas war has been drawn towards a catastrophic humanitarian condition in the Gaza Strip. Hostilities from Israel have intensified after the 7-day temporary truce expired on Friday morning, resulting in a large number of casualties in Gaza. Hamas, in the meantime, has said that the talks of captive and prisoner swap will not move ahead until Israel stops its onslaught, even as international community build pressure on Israel to stop the warfare. Good morning, I'm Chitrakar, and these are the headlines of the hour. The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee demands authenticity in the 80% share transfer of NCL, asks clarification from 3 government bodies. Experts call a lack of preparations from Nepal in climate summits, point out that implementation part of assurances from international communities weak. The Israeli Defense Forces announced they are expanding ground operations in the whole of the Gaza Strip, claim of destroying 500 terror tunnel shafts used by Hamas. And Butwal register first win, Chhapa take on Kathmandu in today's match under NSL. Evening matches to begin 30 minutes earlier considering midwinter. The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee has corresponded with 3 state bodies to furnish clarifications on the legitimacy of the trading of shares of telecom giant NCL. The committee has issued a 9-question letter to 3 government entities expressing concern regarding the 80% share handover of NCL. The Public Accounts Committee has directed the concerned entities to furnish clarifications after it was made public that the Malaysian company Axiata, which is the parent company of NCL, had sold 80% of its shares to British company Spectralite at 6.66 billion rupees. The committee has demanded the Managing Director of Inland Revenue Department, Registrar of Office of the Company Registrar and Chief of Nepal Telecommunications Authority to immediately furnish answers to the questions raised. The committee has questioned whether the company should follow the policy of the nation where it had been operating and acquire permit from the regulatory body NTA for transfer of the ownership, among others. The committee had also demanded reasons for sales of the company shares at a cheaper rate, company's due tax payment, the company not being registered at Securities Board of Nepal, process of trading of shares and transparency, as well as legitimacy of the trading of shares, among other issues. The information regarding the trade of 80% of shares of NCL had been made public on Friday. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal informed that he had drawn the attention of the international community towards ensuring climate finance and justice to Nepal. Speaking at a press conference held at Tribhuvan International Airport yesterday evening upon his arrival after attending the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change or COP28 held in Dubai, Prime Minister Dahal claimed that Nepal was successful in advocating on its rights this time around. Premier Dahal stated that United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has put Nepal in the priority list and assured that financial and technical assistance would arrive in the country in the coming days. Dahal also informed that Nepal had led the issue on the effects of climate change on the mountains. He also said he urged the global community at the convention to commit to limiting global temperature rise. Dahal also informed that he had stressed on providing financial investment and technological help to the communities that are at risk at the earliest. During the ongoing COP28 convention, Prime Minister Dahal also attended a session on delivering early warnings for all. Speaking at the session, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stated that collaboration between governments and between countries and companies is needed to drive down carbon emission and to protect everyone on Earth with an effective early warning system by 2027. During the COP28 convention yesterday, the report regarding the criteria of the risk of Melamchi River was made public. Meanwhile, the Asian Development Bank said it would provide assistance for climate and disaster risk identification and management of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. Likewise, the Asian Development Bank also announced of extending technical assistance on detailed research on the floods and earthquake caused by the glacial lake outburst in Nepal and Bhutan. The United Nations Conventions on Climate Change was held for the first time in Berlin, Germany to save the world from the effects of climate change. From the first climate change summit to the ongoing 28th summit underway in Dubai, Nepal has participated in every climate change summit held around the world. In almost all the summit, Nepal has raised the issue of compensation due to the effects of climate change resulted by carbon emission from industrial countries, raising the standard of life of the victims, among others. It is now a good time to reflect on whether Nepal's voice has been heard by the international community. Nepal has given priority to the various climate change summit held by the United Nations as the heads of the state, the prime ministers and ministers, among other high-ranking government officials, have attended the COP conferences in the past. In the past 5 COP summits, Nepal has raised the issue of revamping the lifestyle of climate change-threatened communities, compensation of the victims from carbon-emitting countries, global temperature rise, combating carbon emission, among others. During the time of every summit, the global leaders assure of addressing the issues faced by countries like Nepal. However, the implementation parts of these assurances are reported dismal by the experts. A climate change damage fund has also been established by the COP28 as the US, Britain, Japan, among other carbon-emitting countries have pledged to provide financial assistance. Ironically, these nations have done little to minimizing carbon emission, one of the prime cause of global temperature rise. The year 2023 is already deemed as the hottest year in the modern history, while world powers have done little to adhere to their commitment made in 2015 Paris Agreement to limit the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The global temperature rise has already accounted for 1/3 of the country's glacial lakes, while threats of soil erosion, landslides, drought, wildfires, glacial lake outburst, avalanche are imminent. Experts in the meantime have said that Nepali authorities participate in these kinds of climate conference without proper homework. A dispute has emerged regarding the number of physically challenged population in the country as the nation observed the World Disability Day yesterday. The national census showed the number to be 650,000, even as the Association of Physically Challenged claimed the number to be around 3 million. Sindhu Palchok's Chautara's Revati Karki has 2 dwarf children with about 3 feet in height. Revati took around of a municipality to make the handicapped identity cards. However, she had to settle for a level 3 identity card, which prevents the ID holder from availing any state facilities. The government has only classified individuals with less than 3 feet in height as fully disabled. They receive a red ID card categorized under level B and are entitled to monthly social security allowance of 3,490 rupees. Those classified under category B with blue ID card are entitled to receive 2,167 rupees of monthly allowance. Both the children of Revati Karki do not avail of state facilities as many physically challenged have lodged their complaints at the Federation of Physically Challenged. The national census conducted 2 years ago had put the number of physically challenged at just over 600,000, while the Federation claimed that 10% of the population, that comes to about 3 million, have one or the other form of disability. The Constitution of the country has enshrined education, health, social security, employment as basic fundamental rights of the physically challenged community. However, the handicapped community has not been able to freely avail of the state facilities. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked in several provinces what should be done to facilitate public services to physically challenged people. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
सबैलाई जुन सेवा सुविधा चाहिरहेको हुन्छ त्यो भन्दा बढी उहाँहरूलाई एटेन्सन चाहिन्छ
छुट्टै एउटा लाइनको व्यवस्था गरिदिनु पर्यो
यस्तो ठाउँ होस् जहाँ कि अपाङ्गहरूको लागि नै व्यवस्था होस्
सिलुवामा छुट्टै लाइन लगाइदिनु होला
अनलाइन मार्फत त्यो सेवा सुविधा दिने व्यवस्था गर्नुपर्छ
संरचनाहरू चाहिँ सरकारले चाहिँ अपाङ्ग मैत्री बनाउन चाहिँ निर्देशन चाहिँ एकदम जोडकतोड दिनु पर्यो
संविधानले दिएको हक अधिकार चाहिँ अक्षरशः कार्यान्वयन हुने बित्तिकै उहाँहरूको चाहिँ सेवा सुविधा अझ राम्रो हुन्छ
सार्वजनिक निकायका संरचना पहुँचयुक्त हुनुपर्छ
अपाङ्गता भन्ने सिट चाहिँ लेखिएको हुन्छ तर त्यहाँ माथि त्योसम्म कसरी चढ्ने भन्ने कुरा पनि हामीले देख्न पाइरहेका छैनौँ
डिसएबल्ड भन्छौँ नि हामी डिफरेन्टली एबल बोल्नुपर्ने हो कि त्यो भावनात्मक सन्देश दिन सक्नुपर्छ
मेयर उपमेयर माथि हुनुहुन्छ भनेपछि त्यहाँ लगेर साइन गराइदिने सहयोगी चाहिन्छ
अपाङ्ग मैत्री भवन बनाउनु पर्यो
यातायातका साधनहरू सबै अपाङ्ग मैत्री हुनु पर्यो
अपाङ्ग मैत्री भौतिक संरचना हुनु पर्यो
अपाङ्ग मैत्री सिरीको तल त्यो पनि बनाउनुपर्छ सबै अफिसहरुमा
हस्पिटलहरुमा फ्री हुनु पर्यो
Two individuals have died in a vehicular accident in Paniswara of Hetauda submetropolis, Makwanpur last night. The driver of the tractor, Dilam Thing of Nijgadbara, and passenger Jit Bahadur Thing of Paniswara were killed in the accident. The District Police Administration, Makwanpur, has said that the tractor had lost control and plunged around 300 meters below the road section. Thankuta municipality has begun taking action against cooperatives that have been operating against the regulation following increase in complaints of financial irregularities. The authority has issued a notice directing 56 cooperatives that have not returned savings of the depositors, failed to fulfill obligations as per the regulation, among others, to furnish white paper. The municipality has also directed to submit property details of the operators of the cooperatives, finance committee and management. Complaints had been filed against 4 cooperatives at Thankuta municipality, citing financial irregularities of 405 million rupees. The municipality has formed a committee to investigate the case. Prior to this, the local government had scrapped 17 cooperatives that had failed to conduct annual General Assembly and submit the audit report. 9 out of 17 cooperatives were agricultural and the remaining were saving and credit cooperative. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What's your take on the near closure situation of Singadarbar Vaidekhana? Your options are A. Political interference, B. Managerial incompetence, and C. Financial crisis. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. The Israel Defense Forces announced it is expanding its ground operations to the whole of the Gaza Strip. Israel has been bombarding Gaza as combat operations resume following the collapse of a truce on Friday. The 7-day truce saw Hamas release 110 hostages being held in Gaza in return for 240 Palestinians being released from Israeli prisoners. Israel has recalled its team of negotiators from Qatar after reaching a dead end in talks aimed at securing a fresh pause in fighting with Hamas. Negotiations broke down over the terms of releasing women still held in Gaza. The Israeli military said it struck tunnel shafts, command centers and weapons storage facilities in overnight raids. Separately, the IDF say they have destroyed 500 terror tunnel shafts used by Hamas in Gaza out of the 800 they say have been found so far. It also said around 10,000 airstrikes on terror targets have been carried out by the Air Force under the guidance of IDF soldiers on the ground since the war began. Palestinian officials say more than 700 people have been killed in the last day. With fighting underway again, the United States is stepping up pressure on Israel to do more to protect civilians. US Vice President Kamala Harris said Saturday that too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Likewise, French President Emmanuel Macron meanwhile called on Israel to better define its goals for the conflict, arguing that the total destruction of Hamas would take a decade of fighting. Meanwhile, Iran warns of war expansion if Israel does not stop the relentless bombardment of Gaza as Yemen's Houthi targets two cargo vessels in the Red Sea. At least 15,500 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7. In Israel, the official death toll stands at about 1,200. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party has won regional votes in 3 of the 4 states' elections, according to the Election Commission. Victories in key Indian states put Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a strong position ahead of general elections in 2024. It was a blow for the Indian National Congress, leading an alliance India hoping to unseat Modi. The BJP comfortably won Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, which the opposition Indian National Congress previously controlled. Modi's party also retained Madhya Pradesh, with the Congress taking Telangana, vote counting data showed. The BJP has so far won in 163 out of 230 seats in Madhya Pradesh, while the Congress remains a distant second with just 66 seats. In Rajasthan, the Saffron Party won in 115 out of 199 seats that went to the polls, with the Congress clinching only 69. Chhattisgarh has 54 seats for the BJP and 35 for the Congress. Winning 64 out of 119 constituencies, the Congress looks to oust the BRS government in Telangana. PM Modi said in a victory speech at the BJP headquarters in New Delhi that the victory is historic and unprecedented. He thanked the people for their unwavering support in the 3 of the 4 states whose results were announced. He exuded confidence that the hat-trick of victories is a guarantee for 2024 hat-trick. Modi wrote on X that the results in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan indicate that the people of India are firmly with politics of good governance and development. At least 20 people have been killed by floods after heavy rain in the Manyara region of northern Tanzania, the Ministry of Health said yesterday. Severe flooding caused by the El Nino weather phenomenon has killed hundreds of people in Kenya and Somalia in recent weeks. The rains have also left a trail of destructions, ruining infrastructure like roads and submerging towns in East Africa, displacing hundreds of thousands of people. Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan directed security agencies, the Ministry of Health and other relevant bodies to focus on ongoing search and rescue efforts to prevent more deaths. 9 people were killed and 15 injured after armed men raided Peru's Pedrosa mine with explosives and took hostages yesterday. The attackers entered the mine shaft using explosive charges, violently confronting internal security personnel from the company and taking 4 people hostage. In a statement, Poderosa said 10 workers were seriously injured and 3 had light injuries. Poderosa said criminal organizations have been operating with absolute impunity under the mantle of protection granted by RENFO, a program Peru's government has used to grant permits to artisanal miners since 2017. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. The Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee demands authenticity in the 80% share transfer of NCEL, asks clarification from 3 government bodies. Experts call lack of preparations from Nepal in climate change, climate summits, point out that implementation part of assurances from international communities weak. The Israeli Defense Forces announced they are expanding ground operations in the whole of the Gaza Strip, claim of destroying 500 terror tunnel shafts used by Hamas. And Butwal register first win, Jhapa take on Kathmandu in today's match under NSL, evening matches to begin 30 minutes earlier considering midwinter. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.